Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. We're taking a look at probably one of the more in-demand characters from the Kingdom line. We're taking a look at Galvatron. But of course, before we get into talking about Galvatron, there is something that has been announced that I want to make sure all of you viewers are aware of that's coming. Renegade Studios, that Hasbro commissioned to make a Power Rangers miniatures game, is about to unveil a role-playing game for the Transformers, as well as one for G.I. Joe and the aforementioned Power Rangers. All of them will follow a similar rule set, so you can have crossover battles if you so desire. At any rate, the book is supposedly coming out this year. No release date has yet been given, but Renegade is taking pre-orders. There'll be a link to the Transformer book down in the description below. And of course, I've already put down for my book, and once it gets here, we will review it. At any rate, back to Galvatron. Of course, Galvatron here was released early in the summer. I managed to get mine while I was at Pete's Robot Convention this summer in Louisville, Kentucky. Nice convention. Nice to be away from home after all this pandemic stuff. Surprisingly, there was only 2 Galvatrons down there at RoboCon, and I managed to get one of them. I got the first one. It didn't take long to notice that the other one was long gone too, so that just speaks to how many people wanted Galvatron. Now, of course, as is traditional here on my channel, when we show off a new version of the toy, we've got to take a look at the Generation 1 original. Just the camera here, so we can get a better look at him. The original Galvatron was released back in 1986. Of course, since Galvatron was a major character in the animated movie, and was voiced by Leonard Nimoy himself, Galvatron, for some reason, was not colored the same as he appeared on the big screen. For many of us, it was kind of decided that Galvatron, this version of Galvatron, was done up more on an earlier animated still. And for some reason, the colors were changed before Hasbro informed Takara to make the change. Now, for those of you who have followed the channel for a while, you'll know that eHobby, sometime in the early 2000s, did release a new version of this Generation 1 toy that was painted up in Generation 1 colors. So, there has been one done of him like that. And of course, we also had the Titans Return version of Galvatron, which was done in Generation 1 colors. But the less said about that toy, the better. Now, before we slide him away, there's one other thing to announce. Hasbro Pulse does have a version of this Galvatron, the Kingdom Galvatron, painted up to look like Generation 1 toy Galvatron, available on their website. For those of you who really want it to look like this, for some reason. But there you go. Now you know what's available. Of course, Galvatron is done up about roughly to scale with the Kingdom Rodimus Prime, since he is a bit on the small side. And if you've seen my review of the Studio 86 Scourge, you will see that Galvatron does display quite well with the Studio 86 figures and the Kingdom and other Kingdom figures. So I had him there with Kingdom Cyclonus as well. At any rate, we'll take a look at some of Galvatron's accessories here. Starting with his Matrix. Of course, it's done up more like how it was in the 1986 animated film. Unlike the Netflix Kingdom series, it's done up on a chain, just like how Galvatron had it when he threatened Unicron. And of course, the special one that I mentioned earlier had a matrix on a chain, but it used a real chain, whereas this one just uses a plastic fake chain, so it does not move at all. But you can transform this Galvatron into his cannon mode, and the matrix can be attached. So that is a nice little bonus play feature. And we're also going to take a look at his extra gun. It does separate into two pieces. So we'll separate it, and we can take a look at it. Now, of course, we'll get the elephant in the room out of the way with this. It is purposefully done up to look like Galvatron's spaceship from the 1986 film, The Revenge. And from what I have read, these are done up to scale with the Unicron figure that was released. So, unfortunately, I do not have Unicron. At the time, I could not afford to shell out $600 in one payment to get him, and well, I think a lot of us know how that felt. None of us really not many of us wanted to drop $600 all at once. But at any rate, these are to scale with it. If I ever get a chance to review that Unicron, we will test that out and show it off. And then, of course, lastly, for Galvatron, is his orange energy cannon. Of course, it can be separated into two pieces. One of which being the orange barrel itself. And before anybody says anything, no, it is not a substitute for the original. Because here's the original, and as you can see, the original one is quite longer. Plus, of course, they also do not attach in the same method. So, you cannot swap one for the other. Just thought I'd throw that out there, folks. And then, of course, we have the connection piece. And that covers Galvatron's accessories. So now with that as accessories, let's take a look at Galvatron's articulation. And since he is not an electronic toy like his original, he will have substantially more articulation. His head can be turned from side to side, and it will rock up and down a bit, as it is on a ball joint. His arms can be raised up about so far. And if we don't remove the shoulder piece from the body, his arms do rotate at the shoulder all the way. You'll have to stick it out a little bit so the tread doesn't catch against the shoulders. His arms do bend at the elbow 90 degrees, but they also can go at that angle as well. And, of course, Galvatron does have a swivel at the bicep, so he has the perfect G.I. Joe battle grip, as he would say. Galvatron can twist at the hips a bit, but a lot of the kibble does get in the way, so he doesn't twist very good. His legs can be pulled apart into a full splits. He also can turn his leg at the thigh. You can raise his leg up at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend him at the knee 90 degrees, and Gosh, we got a bunch of knee pad here when he does that. So all in all, very impressive articulation on Galvatron. Funny that it took us 35 years to get that. Okay, one last thing to point out before we transform Galvatron, and that is that you can store the spaceship guns here on Galvatron's back. They do have a large slot in the back, and they would connect onto these purple posts here on Galvatron's backside. So that if you do not wish to have him carry them, he can at least carry them on his backside. Quite handy and convenient. Okay, let's transform Galvatron. Now the first thing we got to do is we take Galvatron's hands and we fold them inside his arms. Just like that. And then now we're going to fold up his arms. There's a little post right here at the base of the forearm, and that post is to fold up and connect into the hole on his shoulders. You just move the arm, you don't move the tread. Tank tread comes later. There we go. It's a little bit of a precise fit, but there we go. Now that that's done, we will bring down the tread and align it up next to the arms. Just like that. Now that we've got those down, we will turn Galvatron around to the back side, and we got to fold these pads out on his legs. In fact, they fold all the way around and connect to the front, like so. So that gets them totally out of the way. Then you're going to fold the backs of his feet inside. And then we will turn his legs a quarter turn so the knee pads are facing the side. And then you can press his legs together. Just like that. Try to keep the instructions from falling off my lap. Now once we've done that, we'll spin him around. Not too fast. So we're going to fold out these pieces at the side of his hips. Just fold them out to the front. So then we're going to raise his arms up at the shoulders. Get them up as high as they'll go, like that. Actually, they should stick more to the side. But then, you're going to separate the shoulder pads, like that. Just fold them down a bit to keep them out of the way. I'm going to turn Galvatron around. We adjust the piece here on his back because we're going to fold it down like so. And as you can see, it's going to start to reveal the cannon. Now once that's been folded down, we're going to come up here and we're going to separate this part of the cannon and also fold it down. Because we are now also going to pop the chest free, like so, and fold it up in a way that it'll put Galvatron's head inside. And then we flatten the chest right against the top. Then we can close the cannon piece back up like so, so that it holds it all in place. Then now, you'll take this section of the body, and we are going to rotate it so that it folds downwards, like so. And now we fold up the back section so that it goes and covers the open gap. Raise this piece up too so it stays vertical. Then they want us to raise up his arms like so. So that way we can come down here to the legs and fold the legs back. Like so. And right here on the legs, there's a couple of black posts that are just above these purple tabs. And they should line up and connect with some holes here. Move the feet out of the way. They should connect with the holes here on the back plate. So you may have to shift things a little bit. There we go. Snap right into place. Now, of course, once those have snapped into place, you can fold down the arms. As you can see here in the arm, there's a little hole here. It should connect onto this black post on the side. So extend things out and let them connect. Once those have connected, we'll connect these side shields to firmly secure things. And then we can rotate the arms to adjust the tread so the tread goes down. Like so. Then, of course, we come back here to his backside. The legs can be separated, and they form a more stable base for Galvatron to stand. Now, of course, to complete the look, you'll take just the orange barrel, not the connector, and we will plug it in here at the front. The connector piece connects onto this hole here on his backside. And while that gives you the basic look of the gun, to finish the transformation, we would take the matrix, run the chain down the gun. There's a post at the bottom of the matrix that'll connect onto the hole on Galvatron's chest to secure it. And then, of course, the revenge guns plug in onto these posts along the sides, allowing Galvatron to hold all of his accessories. And there you have it. The new version of Galvatron in his cannon mode. Now, of course, by adjusting his legs a bit, and watching, of course, how it separates the body, it will allow you to aim Galvatron to point upwards. Which is good, because we should be getting a Studio Starscream in his coronation outfit. So, you can have this there to recreate that classic moment where Galvatron vaporizes Starscream. And of course, for a comparison look, here is the Generation 1 original. Which was, of course, a bulkier toy because it was powered by a 9-volt battery. Of course, the original one also transformed into a handheld laser pistol. Modern toy gun laws prevent us from having that with our new Galvatron. So, if that's something that'll bother you, I'm sorry to say that's gone for good. Reattach the camera here. And we'll get Galvatron back into his fully upright position before we close things out. Now, of course, what do we think of Galvatron? This is probably the toy we would have loved to have had 35 years ago. Granted, it isn't as big, and it doesn't make the annoying noises, but it does have the articulation, and it's in the right colors. The only real downsides to the toy is the fact that he is pretty hard to find, unfortunately, given the circumstances the world is in today. And, of course, if you are a fan of the laser pistol mode, you might be bothered by the fact that he does not have that as an option anymore. But a lot of the gripes for him are pretty minor. The toy does display very well, and it does look good in all of its modes. It just takes a little bit of getting used to from a G1 fan to look at him and think that the cannon mode is actually that small. But, seeing as he can be posed pointing in an upward angle to prepare for firing at Starscream, hey, that's a lot better than the original. You couldn't even do that. And that's my review of the Kingdom version of Galvatron. I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I also ask that everybody remember to please like, share, comment, and subscribe on this channel. That really does help us out. And remember, my friends and viewers, never forget that all of us are unique and awesome, and we don't have to be like Galvatron and feel we have to conquer and change history to improve things. Improvement starts with the self. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.